times lie ahead, with company worth keeping, till a flash a smile in your head. Come on in, the door's open, you'll find just the finest folks here. Pull up a chair, grab a drink, and let our stories your ear. Cause we're the talk the tavern. Here you're always welcome. The talk the tavern. Promising beer and bedlam. The talk the tavern. Music, medicine, then some. The talk the tavern. The song's over. Here we come.
And welcome to Monday, April 1st episode of Talk of the Tavern. Hashtag Why Now? We'll be talking a little bit about the shit life throws at you, how it's never at a convenient time, as well as some of the stuff that comes up in pop culture and politics, and you just go, why is that coming up now? Why was that brought out at this point? What's a beeping?
Elizabeth.
Oh, it's her little thing. She's playing with her portable electric chair.
Yeah, I am.
I'm sure she'll tell us about that during the intro when we ask what happened in the past 7 days. Tonight I have Coke Zero as usual. I am going to smoke a pipe and probably have a bourbon. Let me let Andrea introduce herself and tell us about her vices.
Oh, my vice, of course, I have my knitting and pre-wine, aka grape juice.
Hey Andrea, which microphone are you using? Scratch your mic for me. It's not that one.
It's
Scratch it a little harder.
Is it not that one?
No.
Nope.
There's no point in you suffering through headsets if the mic isn't working.
There it is.
There you go.
There it is.
I just had to fix the one button.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
so
you
much
did.
better.
Okay, pre-wine, people, pre-wine.
There we go. And what about Chris? What do you got tonight?
I've got a good old classic Angry Orchard.
As opposed to that Neo something.
Well, all right, yes. I mean, I've possibly got some run for later when the Angry Orchard runs out.
Very good, very good. And what about you, Elizabeth? What do you have there that you're enjoying?
Well, good evening, everyone. Tonight I'm sipping on 19 Crimes, a Chardonnay out of Australia.
What is it called?
Australia. 19 Crimes,
Oh, okay.
hard Chardonnay. Excuse me, hard Chardonnay, of course.
It's a soft Chardonnay.
Something not in my bed. Okay. Excuse. A lovely Chardonnay, full body, good taste. Better with just a touch of chill. And as always, water. But this time out of my glow-in-the-dark cup, which is not glowing, but it will be.
It's well, anybody
I
have?
feel like I need to do another review on my pre-wine. It is also full-bodied with a touch of cranberry.
And a slight tartness. I like my women like I like my pre-wine. Tardy. If I have them again, I'm like them retardy.
Late?
What's that? Can we say retardy if you do it again?
As long as it's hashtagged, you'll be fine.
Hashtag, why now?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's see. I guess that gets out of the way out of the vices and vices out of the way and stuff like that. So we will probably be joined by Kevin Crew here sometime in the next 5 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, because right now he's being a bus wanker.
Which is very different from wanking on a bus.
It's like Tuesday, Wednesday next year there, so he's headed home.
It
Did
is.
you
I
see
think
a picture of that terminal? It was enormous. Like, he has to interact with a lot of people.
We went there. I think that's the one we went to.
for the viewers, just so you know, Kevin has named his penis Terminal. So, it's huge. interacts with a lot of people.
Wow. Who else out there?
done, sir. Well done. I'm gonna pee my pants. That was funny.
It's the electrocution unit that you've purchased that we'll be discussing in a minute. Do let us know who you are, why you're watching us, and what you did with our cat. No, let us know your vices and say hello to us.
I was
if
gonna say,
you
which
want.
cat? Are we missing some? How can you tell?
The 9th cat. It's, we,
You know,
you
the one
won't
with
let
those
me get-
angry eyes and the teeth.
we should create a fake cat and just blame everything on the fake cat.
Well, isn't that the one behind you, next to your pipes?
It could
That's
be.
the 9th cat.
That is the 9th cat.
Miss Potty Mouth.
Is that the cat's name?
That's what it said on the
I
box.
think they're feeling stabby. It's so. Did anybody have anything interesting happen in the past? I don't know. Did we have a show last week? We've had such technical issues.
I worked last week.
It's
Well, I'll tell you what happened
That was
yesterday.
last week.
go ahead, Andrea.
Last week I worked, so they canceled the show because I wasn't there.
That's what it was.
No. Not the technical difficulty. Oh my god. Alright, yesterday was my day off of work. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to the store, get cat food, maybe pick up Whopper for the guys at home. Yeah, my transmission fell out of my car on the way there. Now I have no car.
No fun.
Uh-huh.
She was
And
quite.
there's never traffic here. There was like 5 cars on the road at the time. All this traffic. I'm like, go around. And they're just sitting there behind me. I'm like, so I have to get out of my car. I said, look, I can't move. You have to go around.
And she's on a multi-lane road. There's room for them to go around. There's a second
Instead they're sitting
lane.
behind me.
I love that 5 cars counts as traffic.
It does in this area.
Heavy traffic. Heavy traffic. You've been out here, Chris. Come on now.
All right, that's fair.
I like how they're lined up behind you, unable to move, like just go around you.
They're able. They just choose not to.
I mean, it's not like you're going to spill your beer. You could just.
You know, you joke, but we have watched people like get out on the side of the road still holding their beer. Like they put their vehicle in park, get out of their vehicle, throw a can into the back of their pickup truck, open the cooler, pop another beer, get back in the vehicle and drive off.
Okay, I'd appreciate if you didn't talk about me so much.
Elizabeth, you don't have a pickup truck.
You do not own a truck. You do not own a truck that I know of, so it's not you.
You're smart enough to just put it in the back fucking seat and reach behind the goddamn seat.
Well, you finish it before you get out, for heaven's sakes.
You know.
At least that's what Chris says. I don't know.
Yeah, he wasn't talking about a beer, he was talking about a date.
Finish it before you get out.
Then again,
Tomato, potato.
yeah, that's right, some of us date a beer, so,
Let's
you know.
call it all off.
Everybody wants good head, that's all we know. So, Andrew, do you have more about your weekly situation?
Oh my god. Well, let's just say I have to go to work tomorrow and everything. I need a car. Anybody know a place
No.
that doesn't care?
Here's the
about your
extra
credit?
kicker for this one,
Huh?
guys.
Do what?
Here's the extra kicker. When I was just working from home, it was easy enough to just let Andrea take the car. The worst thing we had is I had to drop her off an hour too early if I had to go get Aiden from Fredericksburg. But now, I start a new job on Friday. And going down to one car. And I only had this because we got the second car fixed. Otherwise, I wouldn't have got the second job if we were at one car. Well, the second job isn't. I'm working outside the house and in addition to Andrea's job. So, yeah, it showed
As
up.
soon as they gift it, my car is like, fuck you.
Yeah. Well, we'll have more money. Car's like, yeah, we're going to see about that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a car.
Yep.
So, I work tomorrow, so then after work or Wednesday, I'm gonna have to go and see about getting a car. But my credit's not great. I have no money to put down, so I don't know how that's going. I'm gonna see if maybe I could find somebody that has a car and will take payments.
If not, there's Eastern Motors. That's who Bob recommended.
Where
I've
is
dealt with
that?
them before. It's kind of, not like they're going to be listening, but it's kind of a shysterish type place locally, but they do all in-house financing, and pretty much everybody's going to get it. And they still run a legit business, don't get me wrong. They just feel a little shady.
I know
They're franchised. There's one near me. There's one up in Baltimore that has Baltimore Ravens to like commercials for them. And like they're like singing and dancing to the Eastern Motors theme. Oh, it's terrible.
Well, I mean, yeah, I can get a car there, but oh my God, the price is going to be so outrageous.
No,
That's
it's not too bad. Well, I mean, you're going to pay a little more because you're, getting something when you can't get it somewhere else. So.
I've never done car payments. I've always paid cash for it, but not this time.
You can only do what you can do.
That's right.
I guess.
Sometimes you just gotta get it done.
Yeah.
So what about
Yeah, it's just that way for me. Just fucking get it done. Don't kill anyone to get it done.
Well, shit. That goes to my plan.
So what about you,
So
Chris?
literally, the transmission fell out of your car.
No, it's like, okay, I'm gonna stop.
Oh, sorry.
So I called Travis, and because it's Sunday, nothing's open, no nothing, and I'm coasting. Which should take 5 minutes to get home, took almost an hour, and I couldn't go because everybody's like all up on me, not going around, and so I called Travis. He came and he followed me with his blinkers on to kind of buffer the traffic from hitting my ass. Every once in a while, I have to pull over, turn it off, turn it back on to reset the transmission.
Hey,
Got
Gary.
home.
This is what happens when you're sober.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Let's see if we can find you.
Oh,
Let's do an
Something
opening
happened.
toast.
Opening test. Let's do that.
Here's to testing that theory, Elizabeth.
hashtag why now?
Hashtag why not? Hashtag be kind.
Rewind.
No.
What'd you do?
I dropped my beautiful machine.
Your vibrator?
Your why?
No. Why?
Everybody say hello to Gary.
Oh.
Gary!
Ha!
There we go.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
don't know
got-
what that was.
I
That was
got to
pretty
put
good.
my phone so I could read the comments if we get any.
Yeah, there's only one so far. But, okay. So, we did the opening toast. We talked. Chris, did you have anything go on in the past week or so?
Nope, it's been work, getting ready for the next show.
Can you say it like an orc, please?
Work.
So, when does the show go live?
We are 3 weeks out.
Now, is that going to interrupt with your evenings with us?
No.
Okay.
It might interrupt like 2.
Oh, okay. Okay. It's life happens. No big deal. 1 or 2. Just if it's, you're only going to be available 1 or 2, then oh no.
Yeah, no. I'm not actually running this next show. They have an in-house operator, a full-time board op, which is super great.
Hey.
And I kind of wish I had gotten that gig a little while ago.
Oh.
But,
Usually we just see your forehead, Kevin. What the hell's going
No,
on?
it's quite the opposite.
So bottom half now.
For some strange reason, my laptop's just trying to use its inbuilt camera rather than my camera, which is what's hanging over my screen. Hang on. Leave it like that while I try and work out.
I thought it was so cold in Kevin's house, even the computer's wearing a hoodie.
It's not far off the truth. It's a bit nippy tonight.
We can't say nippy, that's racial.
Nippy racial?
Bear with me while I try and tinker with my camera.
It got cold yesterday. It was like beautiful on Sunday or on Saturday, like almost 70, and then like overnight it dropped. And it got cold yesterday and today. It's gross.
Mm-hmm.
That's better.
Yay!
Hey, there's Kevin.
Fashionably late to the party as ever.
What's your vices tonight?
Currently, my vices are drum rolling tobacco and black coffee, although I will be having a beer when I finish this.
What kind of beer are you looking forward to there?
I've got 2 tonight. I've got 4 small bottles in total because it's on my wallet and stretch too. So I've got 2 Over Easy, which is one of my favourite real ales in a bottle, which is made by the company I work for, but don't hold that against it. It's a very nice 3.8% IPA called Over Easy that is made in our own little microbrewery in Brixton in London, produced in limited runs, and it's got a really wonderful citrusy, hoppy aftertaste, almost not lemon, almost like a real lime kick to it. So that's really nice. And then I shall probably start with that and then polish it off with some punk IPA afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got a love bit of Brewdog. So yes, I have, for once, I have come prepared for an episode of Talk of the Tavern.
And you have something else there to go with it, don't you?
I do. Shall we wait for a moment and I'll reveal that when there's beer in it and you can see it better?
Yeah, that's fine.
I tried to show someone the other day on camera and they couldn't see what was written on it until I put liquid in it.
Is it, wait, is it terminal? Are you going to show terminal?
Is it terminal?
Well, no, let me explain that.
If I drink enough, it could be.
Wait a minute. Travis?
See, Kevin, before you came on, when we first were on air, Elizabeth, says, did you see that terminal Kevin was in? It was huge. You got to interact with a lot of people. And I said, well, for all our viewers, Kevin named his penis Terminal. So it's huge and interacts with a lot of people.
It's huge, interacts with a lot of people, and if left unchecked, will prove fatal.
We'll love you to death.
And you,
Like a pit bull.
It's no good trying to get insurance after it.
Wait, did you say getting shorts off of it or getting insurance after it?
Either or.
Very different things, but they both.
I'm not sure I trust any insurance that was bought from my penis, frankly.
Dickhead insurance.
It's lied to me so many times in the past.
The insurance
Gonna
or your
have a
penis?
lot of overhead.
Yeah, I see what you did there. Now, I don't know if you can you see that?
Yes.
I have to try and get it into the camera properly.
No, just stop moving it. We can see it fine.
Hey!
Yep, thank you very much indeed. Arrived Wednesday of last week, I think.
Cool.
And did you get anything else with it?
I did indeed. You would hope so. Yes.
Not the packing peanut.
If only half the parcel had turned up, I'd be slightly worried. Yes, thank you very much indeed, all of you. You were that opening that parcel on Wednesday last week was genuinely about the only high point of my week last week, and it put a genuine smile on my face.
Oh, nice.
Yay.
Glad it wasn't that fake smile like...
Yeah, it's not much of a smile, I've got to admit. It's more like a horrendous grimace. Who do I have to thank for the cards? Was that you guys, or was that another one from John?
It's always going to be from John, but as the middlemen who pay for postage,
You
both
quite
is
happy to
good.
take the credit. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much to all of you. It was deeply appreciated, especially the lovely cards I'm Lulu. That's really nice. And thank you very much to John, if you're watching tonight.
There you
Much
go.
obliged, mate. Two of the cards are in an envelope would have been used to hand someone a pasting.
Very good, very good. Yeah.
Oh, that's far too fucking lovely.
Is that good? Is that your lime? I like
No.
lime, really, in everything. But
That's every. Yeah, I mean, it's got pictures of. I mean, it's yellow coloration on the bottom. It's just described as citrus. So it doesn't actually say what they've used for it. But I would say that the aftertaste is more reminiscent of lime than it is lemon. It lacks that. It's got the citrus sharpness, but it doesn't have the sourness you associate with lemon.
Gotcha.
Not that lime is necessarily any less sour, but you get what I'm
No,
saying.
but I feel like a lot of the time when they say citrus, it's more of like an orange, or like like they use oranges and tangerines and like those citrus rather than lemons and limes, which are the good citrus.
So Green King, who are a brewer anyway, they have a small beer craft academy where they're training the next generation of brewers. And what they do is every 2 years, that particular intake of students, as they're reaching the last 6 months of their 2-year course, they all get to make their own beer. So they design their own recipe, take it through the whole brewing process from sourcing the raw ingredients all the way through to bottling and producing the end product, designing a label, the whole thing. And then at the end of that 2-year period, Green King judge that year's beers created by their students, and the winner gets put into limited production for the next 2 years. So this is the winner from 2 years ago. We're due another one this year somewhere, I think.
Does that mean it's going away soon?
No, they'll probably, well, it depends on the popularity of the beer.
Okay.
If it's been around for a couple of years and sales have tailed off, the chances are that we won't see this again and then replace it with a new one. If it's a good seller and it's been selling consistently, then obviously they'll keep it. And this is why they don't you can see this very well on the neck of the bottle. That's why the Craft Academy logo there. That's actually the academy where we train brewers. It's in a little tiny microbrewery hidden behind one of our pubs in Brixton in London.
Nice.
That's nifty.
And obviously linked to our main brewery, which is in Bury St Edmunds, which has been there for 600 odd years or whatever.
It's beautiful. People who teach others and encourage others to brew beer and brew the best they can. It's beautiful. Oh my God. It's beautiful.
It is. It is.
Funnily enough, I was talking to my dad a couple of weeks ago. So, without getting into a long, protracted story, my dad's got 2 houses, the one we used to live in as a family, and the small bungalow he's retired to, but he hasn't sold the bigger house off yet. Still full of shit. So I was talking to him the other day about there's some bits of mine that went into storage in that place years ago from when I was a teenager, the kind of thing that now potentially might be a cash cow.
Right.
Toys, games, things that are now collector's items. So I said to him, I'd do, going up to the house at some point and crawling around in the loft. And talking about, I was going to say something to do that. Lost my train of thought now. Never mind, it'll come back to me.
It was something in the attic that you found that was cool. That's all I know.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was that prompted.
Okay. Chris, going back to you real quick. So what show are you guys working on?
It's a show called Oslo, and it's about the Oslo Accords that led to a little bit of peace in the Middle East, and Jerusalem becoming an actual state.
Is that the play you're producing?
Yes.
Oh, I saw that in New York. That was freaking awesome. The dialogue is fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
He says enthusiastically.
I mean, the material is. I don't necessarily find all that interesting because I don't like Middle Eastern politics does not necessarily apply to me in my generic everyday life. I'm not saying that it's not important because it definitely is, but I don't care about that chunk of history.
Can you have been alive when that happened?
Yes. I was 6.
I wasn't necessarily alive during the Korean War, but it definitely influenced my world.
Sure.
I'm just asking.
I'm not that young.
Just to throw my tuppence worth, I wasn't alive during the 100 Years' War, but I still hate the French.
Everyone's so sensitive.
I feel like tuppence should be like some kind of food. It sounds like a mashed potato pie type things. I had a big bowl of tuppence. It was okay. Grandma made it.
That's weird because Grandma's been dead for 5 years.
So Elizabeth, What about the past week or two for you? You had anything interesting go on?
I do. I have to respond to Chris. If you afford me a minute. Chris, when I saw that play, there was an actress who played 2 roles, and she would just change costume and wig and come back on and play. And one was, I think, the Norwegian hostess, and then I can't remember who else. And she lived in my neighborhood, and I was just so excited. I never got to meet her, and I didn't want to be rude, but I think it's fun. I love life.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah, it was cool. All right, yes, I did. This week, a pathologist friend of mine recommended a little nerve stimulator, and I believe I've been using this nonstop. It has little electrodes. You attach it to.
Did you say gynecologist friend?
I thought she said
Pathologist.
proctologist.
Oh.
Someone who deals with pathology, like samples.
Oh.
That's not the kind of nerve stimulator normally recommended by a gynecologist.
You never know.
Well,
What kind do they recommend there, Kevin? What kind of nerve stimulator does a gynecologist usually recommend?
Normally vibrators for curing hysteria, which is the well-known illness amongst women. Just ask any British asylum runner from the 1700s till about 1968.
And do you think maybe they just came up with that because they got tired of dealing with stupid people and told them to go fuck themselves? And they went, what was that? And they're like, no, what I was saying is you're hysteric.
It's entirely possible, and if you look at some of the earlier vibrators, which are actually plugged into the household mains, there was every chance you could literally fuck yourself using one.
Probably very little chance that I personally could do that because I'm a clencher.
You say that, Travis.
No, I'm a clencher.
What you think is unlikely today is a certainty tomorrow.
I have my great-grandmother's personal massager from 1908, I think it was. It was one of the first electric
Still a
personal
little sticky.
massagers. Let me see if I can find a picture of it.
Andrew, did you just ask if it's a little
Please don't make me
sticky?
spit beer out.
What, Travis?
Did you just ask him if it's a little sticky?
That was a statement. I'm like, yeah, it's still a little sticky.
Oh, it wasn't even a question.
It's not a question.
Have you seen Chris's basement?
Heard about it. There's schedule.
Is that a direct question or a euphemism?
Well,
Little column A, little column B.
yeah.
Let's just say
Don't
lotions
knock it back
and
20 bucks,
baskets
it's 20
aren't
bucks.
unknown there.
Anyway,
So if you have it, why are you looking for a picture instead of just holding it up?
because it's in a box somewhere in the closet.
Gotcha.
And I can probably find a picture for...
Because it's a little sticky.
Is this the massager or your grandmother?
Well, my great-grandmother.
In the box, in the
Oh my
cupboard.
god.
We let her out on
Okay.
Sundays.
They do have personal massagers that are also urns for your cremated loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
It's a thing.
So you're scurrying your cremated loved ones?
Yep.
You think that's awkward? Wait
Well.
till you find out I put my pets in them.
You can also, I believe, and I will attempt before the end of the show to find a link to prove the veracity of this. You can have your ashes. You know, you have these companies that compress them and turn them into semi-precious stones.
Right.
You can
That's
have
what I
that.
would've done.
You can have that done, and then you can have the stone mounted into a butt plug.
Of course you can.
Of course.
It's family jewels at its finest.
Right.
For that controlling mother who was always up your ass anyway.
Just keep her there.
I nearly made a similar crack about my wife, but she does occasionally watch reruns of the shows. Love you, darling.
Smart woman.
I saw a post on Instagram the other day. We have the kind of love instead of... What was it? They're like, you wake up in the morning and you tell them, I thought about smothering you with a pillow last night, but I didn't.
Well, that's a fairly accurate representation of how my wife and I express our love, yeah.
Did I tell you that I discovered caffeine gum?
Caffeine gum. Well, like
Caffeine
chewing gum
gum.
with caffeine in.
Oh my God, it is amazing. I could have a heart attack. I have a beer. I'm like, oh, I could use a little caffeine on that.
Oh God.
I dropped the picture into Discord.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Oh God, where is it?
Do you know what I find most disturbing about that image, Chris? It's not the actual massager. It's what is that wire brush attachment in the center for?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, now anybody viewing, before I bother to do this, does anybody viewing want me to hold this up to the camera for everyone?
So he's asking you, Gary.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it's just Gary there.
I feel you should also iterate what this is.
It's a vibrator from 1902 that looks like it's made by
the picture of
Craftsman.
the vibrator, yeah.
Ah, I can't
Just when you say who wants me to hold this up to the camera, I start worrying.
The terminal.
If only because it's bound to cause an eclipse of your entire monitor, Travis.
You got to keep in mind the actual camera is only the size of a dime. That's not hard to do.
I'm trying to build you up here. Stop knocking yourself down.
Yeah, I got wood just from talking about it. I'll just hold it up for the people on the replay that are like, wonder what they were talking about.
Oh,
So there we...
I do have some other things that happened this week.
Oh, what else happened, Andrea?
Okay. It's kind of a shitty week. Transmission fell out of the car, of course. And then, last night, I love my Lego games, but you have to put each piece together with all these tiny Legos. Giraffe, our lovely Galoot cat, jumped and knocked down the container I had with them all. So here's all of them.
On top of the TV, we had a wooden box that's the size of a bread box or a toaster oven. So about 20 inches by 10 inches tall and 12 inches deep. And it had a flip-top lid and then a flip-down thing in the front. And we had all the different characters in there. And he was on
vehicles and
he had his back feet on it and went to push off to move forward and just shoved the whole thing off the top of the fireplace mantle thing that we had.
On the bright side, he broke your Lego. You can clip it back together again. Mine broke a 400 quid laptop.
There is that.
Is that why Fred was locked outside?
Yeah, and also if you see me sitting a bit further back from the screen tonight, or if at any point you hear my mic pick up a noise that sounds like a 747 coming into land directly over my head, that'll be the fan in my old laptop.
Nice.
So I've gone from the top of the range Acer gaming laptop to an HP Pavilion.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of like someone trashing your sports car and having to drive to work in a scope.
Elizabeth.
Okay, Chris, are you sure you posted the right picture? I mean, wow. Was this your grandma or your great-grandma?
My great-grandma.
Damn. Good girl. Good job. She's a lady.
Well, with that brush attachment, they didn't shave then.
I can't remember his name. Is it Marvin the Martian or something? Do you guys know what I'm about? The cartoon characters was in Daffy Duck cartoons a lot. Doesn't that look remarkably like his radar?
P32.
Well, where do you think they got the idea from?
The brush is the round brush scares me. Oh.
Yeah,
that black one in the middle. Yeah, that's
The
black one in the middle. Where's Ed?
It's hard to tell from the picture, but it genuinely looks like it's made from wire wool. Like it's the kind of thing
I know. That's what I.
Like you use a buffering sheet steel with.
Some pretty stiff bristles.
Where is Bob? Where is Bob?
Wow, your family's tough.
He's in the next room with his personal massager.
He's trying to be the black brush in the middle.
Oh, and one more thing. I did, two things. Okay. I met a bunch of other Beths. And in life, you don't meet many Beths. It's always Elizabeth or Liz or Betty. And we're going to brew a beer called Beth's Brew. And they're brewers, and I originally met the main one at the Beer Blitz where I judged beer. And she lives in Smithfield, and so does another Beth, and they all live in this area. Magic will come our way. Let's see what happens.
Just make a hot chili infused version and call it Dragon's Beth.
No.
So, Elizabeth,
Thank you for the input.
you said
You're not a Beth, Kevin. Sorry.
No, you're right, I'm not. I have got about 6 other Kevin Crews on my Facebook friends list. So.
Travis?
I did.
There's a lot of Chris Halls out there too.
You were saying, Travis?
you said other Beths. Do you go by Beth sometimes?
That's my family name, actually. Beth or Bethy.
Okay. So, do you go by Beth sometimes?
With my family, I
Okay.
do.
Yeah, just
I
checking.
also,
I don't want to miss an opportunity. Oh, go ahead.
I
Kev.
also have a name that only my family refer to me by, and it also has 4 letters.
Is it also Beth?
No,
That's a damn shame, Kevin, because
Dude.
you could have got in on the beer thing, you moron.
Is it cunt?
quite often.
Terminal has more than 4
Oh, and
letters.
I saw Family at a Funeral, and I didn't realize it was directed by Frank Oz. And it's-
Oh.
I just laugh the whole time. It's so funny, and I really am into actors and their little moments as they interact with dialogue. It's really fun as a writer. So,
I
Death at
also
a
find funerals
and
funny.
it's on Prime.
I
You also
find some
what?
hum-
Hmm?
I didn't hear what.
Me? I said I also find funerals funny.
I find some funerals funny, but then I've got quite a messed up bunch of mates. So if any of us die, it's very seldom a black tie somber affair.
Only the one in the backyard next door.
There is the redneck funeral, which they still don't have a second tombstone out there for the newly added. And they also haven't bothered to clear out any of the other stuff that was left standing. So you have like these rotted flowers on a wire frame that used to be a beautiful wreath. And
Oh.
Piles of trash next to it. Old refrigerators, tires, the usual.
Standard.
Otter's talking in the other room.
That's what I hear. I hear
Okay,
cats.
so Kevin, on to you. Did you have anything interesting happen in the past week or two that you give a damn about enough to discuss?
Just thinking. Don't think there's anything really newsworthy. Not that's worth talking over on air. No.
Okay. I guess we're done with that. We can actually move a bit into the topic and make Kevin talk a little more if he is so inclined. Now, the topic.
I'm always inclined to talk. It's just whether people actually want to hear it.
So the topic this week is hashtag why now. Now, this could apply to things that went on in the news this week, or it could apply to, what's his name, director of the Guardians of the Galaxy, where they pulled out a tweet from 10 years ago and threw it at him, or any of these things. Other things it could apply to is when we have something going on in the news and suddenly this other thing happens out of the blue, and everything that you were just talking about is all forgotten because you have this new shiny thing to look at. And this is called wag the dog in political circles. But wag the dog happens all across the board. And of course life happens like the transmission thing and you go, why now? So we have a very broad topic here. And with the Brexit thing, now how long has Brexit been going on? 2 years now?
2 years.
Yeah.
2 years since the referendum,
And we've basically, if I'm to understand correctly, Kevin, and you correct me if I'm off here, it's out of Theresa May, that's her name, is that correct?
Yeah.
It's out of her hands at this point in time and just in Parliament, and they have like a week to 10 days to vote on the final decision, and then basically the European Union is going to go, you know what, we got this shit because you can't fucking do it.
No, not at all. There's 2 options on the table. Either we leave with no deal at all in place,
Which is
literally nothing arranged.
horrible.
We just leave, which is catastrophic for this country. or our government negotiate a deal with the EU. Now, Theresa May has had a deal that she's put on the table. It keeps getting refused by both the EU, or if not by the EU, then by our own parliament. It's not out of her hands at all. She's still in control of our government. Her party still control our parliament, but she needs ratification from a certain number of MPs, members of parliament, in order for that offer to pass and be formally presented to the EU, and she's not getting it. She's had 3 votes now, and all 3 have failed.
So,
Because the deal that she's got on the table is just as catastrophic as leaving with no deal.
if this is her party, and she's had 2 years to do all this, what is she putting in there they don't want, or leaving out that they do want, that her own party is shooting this shit down?
That's just to discuss the Brexit deal and what is and isn't in it and what it implies for this country is a whole 2-3 hour show all on its own. So, okay, I'll try and distill this down to
2 sentences.
Okay. It's difficult to do, and to just interject briefly and explain why it's difficult. The big issue at the moment is that our own government haven't got a fucking clue what they're doing, let alone the general populace of this country in terms of where we're actually at with Brexit. The whole thing has been a mismanaged farce from start to finish, and we're now literally at the point where every week we're going back to the EU and asking for another extension to the deadline for Article 50, which is the official article that removes us from the EU. We're asking for more extensions. We're like a kid who hasn't done his homework and keeps going back to the teacher going, no, a couple of days, I'm almost there.
Is it an option at all to go, our bad, sorry, can we forget the whole thing and go on like we were?
Yes, it is. Yeah, the EU have stated that if Britain decide that they've made a horrendous mistake and say we don't want to leave the EU, that we can remain in the EU exactly as we were before. That's definitely an option from the EU. From our government, it's not. Our government have categorically stated the vote was made, the British populace voted. By the way, for anyone who doesn't know the figures, 52% to 48% was the end of the referendum, and that's not the populace, that's those who bothered to turn up and vote. But our government are saying, no, we voted to leave, so under no circumstances are we not going to leave. We're going to leave one way or the other. And if it means that they can't agree on a deal, they will leave with no deal on the table. What does the Brexit deal mean for England? Current basic estimates are that if we left Europe without a deal on the table, the average cost per year to the average British household would be £4,500. That's extra taxation, extra custom duties on items being brought into the country, hikes on the prices of certain food, which currently obviously don't register import-export tax because they're only being moved within the EU. Once we're no longer a member, there's customs duties to pay on that. They reckon the average running cost for the UK over the next 10 years will be £4 billion a year, is what Brexit is going to cost us, even if we come up with a deal and leave with something on the table now.
Wow.
Just to state for the record, by the way, because like many political arguments, there's always going to be 2 sides to every story. So I'd like to I'll lay out very briefly my own personal position on Brexit, because I will say that anything you hear me say about Brexit is my opinion. It's going to be coloured by my own political leanings. Sure. Am I in favour of leaving Europe? Yes. I think Europe have made a lot of steps towards attempting to undermine British sovereignty, to take powers away from this country that deserve to be decided within our own borders. Do I agree to Brexit now? No. Very topical for tonight's show topic, Travis. It's the best question about Brexit that no one asked. Why now? And I will later on explain why Brexit happened when it did, if you want.
Yeah.
Suffice to say, it was a political gambit by a former Prime Minister that backfired massively in his face. And he immediately stepped down and just went, fuck it, not my problem anymore. But I'm in favour of Brexit, but I'm not in favour of Brexit now. I'm not in favour of Brexit under the current conditions. And I also think that the national referendum that we held, the people's vote, do we want out of Europe or not, this 52%, 48% thing, I think both sides of that argument, whether you voted to leave or remain, were horrendously lied to, misled, and not provided with anywhere near the full information. Literally from the announcement there was going to be a referendum to the vote was 2 months.
Kevin,
Travis.
can you clarify? You keep saying 52-48. 52% want to leave or 52% want to stay?
Right, so 2 years ago we had a national referendum where everybody of voting age was given the opportunity to go to a polling station and register leave or remain. Leave won by 52 to 48%.
Thank you. I just wanted that clarified.
Yeah, if it had been the other way, we wouldn't be here now. Once that was... Hello, I just lost you. Go ahead, we got a story.
Oh, no,
My screen is going into sleep mode. Once that referendum had been taken and ratified, the government then had a legal obligation under our legal system to obey the will of the people.
Oh, our politicians don't have that kind of restraint.
No, well, ours aren't. Ours, the thing is, they keep saying this. They keep using the phrase "the mandate of the people," or words to a similar effect. It's bullshit. That no politician was forced to go through with Brexit because of that vote. They could have taken that vote and gone, okay, well, the British public have said yes, but it was by a narrow margin, so we're going to have a second vote. That's another thing that a lot of people who voted to remain with the EU have been calling for the last 2 years for a second vote. Again, I'm not typical. We have a political system. We had the chance to vote. We voted and we voted out. Therefore, we're out. But if you defy that vote, you defy the very foundations of what democracy is supposed to be.
Well, I think after 2 years, calling for another vote might be reasonable, because 2 years is a long time to be able to change your mind.
I saw a great justification for it the other day, and I'll tell you what it was, because I think this
for
is
the
great.
vote or for not having the vote?
For having a second vote.
Okay.
So imagine a scenario on Monday where 4 of us decide to go for... And one of us has heard of this amazing new restaurant downtown that none of us have been to yet. So we phone up and we book a table for Friday night. With me?
Yep.
On Wednesday, we talk to someone who's been to that restaurant and we find out that they only serve human feces. Still want to go for dinner Friday night?
No.
This is the Brexit argument. Did we vote to go to dinner? Did we vote to leave the EU? Yes, we did. Did we know all the facts at the time? Did we make an informed decision based on all of the knowledge? No, we didn't. Now we know all of that knowledge. Do we feel like maybe we should have a second vote to see if the country still feel the same way? Now we've all had 2 years to look into it and find out what the fuck it was actually all about? Yes, probably. But it won't happen.
That's
because the
reasonable.
government don't want that.
No,
Because the government is scared shitless they'll lose that vote.
So, since we're on it, did you want to address the why now thing, or?
Yeah, sure. Okay, very briefly then, because again, unless you're up with British politics, I don't want to confuse anybody too much. The Prime Minister prior to Theresa May was David Cameron. They both represent the Conservative Party. Essentially, we're very similar to the US. We do have more than 2 political parties. Will any of the other political parties, other than Labour or Conservative, ever get into control of government? No, they won't.
Okay,
What
your
we have had in the
Conservative is
past
our Republicans, and your Labour is our Democrats.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because we have Conservative and Liberals.
Labour, think unions, will of the people, industry-based, kind of socialist views. Conservatives, very, very, almost not right-wing, but definitely heading that way when they were originally a left-wing party. Very traditionalist, very isolationist, very strong on
Correct.
tradition. They
There are
still believe
strong
Britain is
parallels
great.
here.
Yeah.
Okay,
We
go
have
on.
other parties, but they're not likely to ever get enough votes from anybody to ever be significant anyway. The only time they have been significant is when one of the 2 major parties has won a general election, but not by enough votes to claim a majority. And then in certain occasions, like we had with this particular government I'm talking about under David Cameron, we had a coalition government. That's the majority of it was made by the Conservatives, but they also had the Liberal Democrat Party throw their lot in with them. They combined and ran a joint coalition government between the 2 of them, which gave them the necessary parliamentary majority. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. David Cameron had a general election coming up. General elections happen, they're called by the Prime Minister roughly every 4 or 5 years. We're not set to a fixed 4-year term like I believe you guys are for presidents.
Correct.
But it's it works on more or less the same sort of term. Anywhere between, there can be a crisis of leadership that calls for a general election, etc., etc. It's less fixed in the US system, but it follows a similar routine. So the general election decides which party runs the country, a bit like you picking a president. David Cameron had an election coming up, and he was severely worried that his party, the Conservatives, were not only going to lose the election, they'd only narrowly won the previous one and had to form a coalition government with Liberal Democrats in order to do so. He was worried he was going to lose the general election and that the Conservatives were going to lose control of the Parliament to Labour, which is our other major party. And also he was under pressure from a surprising, well, not that surprising sadly, but from a distinct rise in parties with a far right sentiment or a nationalist sentiment. Parties in the UK, for example, like UKIP, the United Kingdom Independence Party, that kind of thing, who are very strong immigration, closed borders.
With all the extra details, I'm actually losing the thread of what you're trying to get to.
Okay, sorry. Right. Why now? Why did it happen? Cameron was under pressure from all these right-wing parties. They'd seen a massive upsurge. Normally, these guys were the lunatic fringe. The 1% of the vote, something like that. Suddenly, they were all getting much better returns. People were voting for these parties based on issues like border control, immigration into Britain, things like that. And they focused on these issues and they pushed hard on them and were gaining political ground. Cameron, in an attempt to counteract their popularity and win those votes back to his party, in a position where he felt weak, offered Britain the chance to leave Europe. This is where Brexit came from. It was a gambit to win a general election.
It is a fucking wag the dog situation.
It is. It is exactly that. Cameron turned around and went, shit, UKIP and all these other parties with these far-right leanings, foreigners out, close the border, Britain can do everything herself. They're gaining ground on us. Fuck it, we'll offer them the same thing. So he went, right, Britain, if I win the general election, I'll call a referendum and you can have a choice whether you want to leave Europe or not. Because he didn't think he'd win, and if he did win, he didn't think he'd be legally bound to stand by it. Mm-hmm. And then he won the general election, and the Conservatives got into power, and his legal advisors went, yeah, sorry, you've kind of got to give them this referendum now.
Wait, your politicians are legally bound to honor their campaign promises?
No. Oh, God, no. Jesus Christ, if they were, this country would work.
So why was he legally bound to hold to that promise?
Do you know what? I couldn't simply explain it.
Okay. But
for now, like you say, to keep it concise and explain the why now, let's stick with it just did. He suddenly found himself in the position he never thought he'd be in, where he'd won and he actually had to make good on that promise. He's a lying bastard anyway, so he never thought that he'd have to keep his word. And when he suddenly found himself in a position, he realised that because of the strong right-wing swing in political opinion, there was every chance that there was a good chance we were going to vote to leave Europe, which was chaos, and he didn't want to be responsible for that, and he didn't want his name anywhere near that, especially not after all, a whole host of other political snafus by him and his party. So he just quit. And along comes Theresa May, who, I mean, Jesus Christ, when your political party, that's the best choice you've got to put forward for a prime minister. You knew they were in the shit 2 years ago. But they put that wicked old witch in, and she went, right, okay, let's do this then. We'll live in Europe.
So let me ask you this.
Nancy Pelosi of Europe.
Since you've hit the age of voting, have you ever been happy with a prime minister? I mean, you pretty much had Thatcher, David, and now Theresa May, right? Am I missing one or two?
Yeah, like 4 or 5.
Wow, okay. What were they in for, like 3 months each?
Ours changed relatively regularly. But also, you said since I reached voting age, I bless you for saying so, but that is a few more years than you're implying there. So.
I just remember Thatcher was there like from the late 80s to, I don't know, last month. She was in there a long time.
Too long.
It was. Oh crap! I knew this. We did a show last season and are remounting it specifically about Margaret Thatcher and the Queen and her reign as Prime Minister.
Yeah, she was in there 15, 20 years or something, right?
That's a long time.
Yeah, and I'm not exact on that one, guys. I absolutely don't.
It's
have-
more than 4 years like us.
Yeah.
You know what? I couldn't even give you the years of Thatcher's dictatorship, let alone the days. Sorry, did I say dictatorship?
Well, I want to say she got in during the Reagan era, which was 80 to 88.
She was in power at the same time as Reagan. Then.
Yeah, and she left during the
Yeah, they were
Bush
good
era.
friends.
So the George
She was
W.
also really good friends with Robert Mugabe, so.
She was in power from 1975 to 1990.
Andrea?
It is almost top of the hour. Does anybody need to take a break?
Only if I can get both hands on Thatcher's neck.
Okay, go ahead,
Is
Elizabeth.
that what you call your penis?
We're going to carry on
Yeah.
here, and just so you know, everybody, for this week in history, we're going to carry on exactly as we are now, because everything we're talking about is going to relate to
Yes.
things that are making history. I have a topic. I'm going to start at the 9 o'clock hour, which is why I was kind of pushing Kevin to get to the point, because we're going to shift at that point to this other topic that I want
Yeah.
to cover.
So your too long didn't read version is Brexit only ever happened as a political gambit to win a general election. They never thought they'd have to see it through.
Andrea, I'm putting my pants on.
Why?
By curious coincidence, I've just removed mine.
What a curious
I gotta go
coincidence.
downstairs.
I'm putting Andrea's
I don't
on.
want to surprise the beer man.
Travis, you're wearing my pants. Is that where they went?
Well, it's how I sell them on eBay.
Oh, goodness.
I bet you don't. But let's leave my intimate working knowledge of the used underwear market for a day.
It's not sold on eBay. It's a different site.
You know, it's one of those things that, you got to tell them they were worn and used. You don't have to tell them by who. Andrea's underwear, worn and used.
Come here, kitty, kitty. Let me take them off.
Notice the stray pussy hairs.
Ew. Wow.
Yeah, indeed. It's okay. So I don't think we have anybody here with us except for Gary, if Gary's even still hanging out because he didn't respond earlier.
He's like, nope, screw this. I'm going home.
I'm down head.
It does look like our stream is maintaining its integrity, unlike a few other times in the past couple weeks. It's spiked for a bit, but
The stream, not the content, correct?
yeah, the
Because
content.
there's no integrity there.
What's with the triangles? You guys, you and Elizabeth are the leads in the bit throwing. No, you're okay, Gary. Don't apologize, man. So what's with the triangles?
It's a new one. And it draws. I don't know. I'm just like, oh, that's pretty. Oh.
There goes Kevin pouring another. I have a cat on my lap. I can't reach my bourbon for a refill. Aren't they a good-sized glass? Good, solid pint glasses there, Kevin?
They are.
I'm pretty pleased with them because a lot of the glasses you get nowadays, they feel thin. You worry about breaking them too easy.
You know, that's from John, too. He had
That's-
those made.
That's true.
And at my staff discount, that works out. Okay, it's not a pint, as you can clearly see. There is a shortage at the top of the glass, but that is £3.
Well, the reason you have that shortage is because if you put a big head on it, you want it to be able to still fill the glass.
Yeah, John had those made for us. So that's...
Yeah, they're awesome.
Very
Thank you,
good.
John.
Very good, yeah. Yeah, I guess I should have considered that too. I'm glad Andrea
John's-
pointed that out.
John's store,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
can you buy online for it?
Sort of.
Sort of. Like,
Yeah.
does he have a website for it? That kind of thing.
I have to check with him. Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
website.
I'm just.
It's
I know
not.
there's a website, but I don't know.
You can buy online, but it's not set up to buy online. How about that?
Gotcha. But you could email him and go, hey,
Right.
if I send you some money, send me the shit.
Right. And as much as I'd love you to tell you to do that, keep in mind shipping.
Yeah.
I am. What I'm actually thinking about is having a look to see if I can see the kind of shit he sells online, because it's probably cheaper for me to buy gifts for you guys and get John to send them to you than it is for me to send you the same shit from the UK.
That's not a bad idea. Or just tell him to tuck it under the counter. And Kevin, you might get magic cards from me. I'm looking at my magic cards. Andrea and I have quite a few, and we never play. And I'm
Not
like,
so much anymore.
why
Yeah.
are we storing these things for years if we never play?
You
You know.
never know.
Well,
My box of magic cards is heavier than the 2 boxes of books that I take off of my bookshelf.
wait, why do you take boxes of books off your bookshelf?
Well, when I
He's packing.
have to move.
Gotcha. Okay, now hold that thought. We're going to go into This Week in History's intro, and we'll start with that. I don't know if you guys can hear the music this week or not.
This week in history.
Well, it depends what Discord does this week for you. Okay, for This Week in History, I want to discuss something I saw in the...
Oh,
Yes, Andrea?
well, I just have a question for Kevin.
Yes.
I know it's no longer April 1st, but do you guys do April Fools?
Yes, very much so. Yes,
Okay.
it's quite a strong British tradition. It's been all over the place. Luckily, no one got me. But there's been some classics. There's been one on the Isle of Wight here for years. Someone always does it every year. Years ago, there was I can't remember how it happened. I think the bus skidded, but they ended up in a weird situation anyway, where one of our double-decker buses tried to go up the pier. And you guys, the same pier you guys came down when you arrived. And halfway up, the bus skidded and ended up spinning, and it got lodged in the most improbable way, sideways on, blocking the whole pier. And every year, someone puts that picture up and claims you sort of nicked a bus and jaw-ridden it and allow extra time for your travel. Ride piers currently blocked. Every year, it comes up on Facebook, and people fall for it. This is outrageous. But yes, we do April Fools. We delight in it.
We have actually
The
had
more-
corporate warnings come out to many companies this year going, there's only so much positive effect an April Fool's joke does. But if you guys all noticed when we logged into Discord today, they had one up that they've deleted the light theme, and it's only the dark theme left. And they had a little video of somebody flipping off the light switch.
They should just keep it that way, because, yeah.
I missed that because it was past midnight when I logged in my country.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like next year there. Yeah.
No, you've
I
done
think
your
Steve
time
had
change.
some pretty good
It's-
April Fool's things this year.
What was World of
They had
Warcraft today?
Beanbag onesie that was interesting. It's a onesie with a giant ass beanbag over your butt. You just walk around and sit down wherever. The video. It's
Oh,
cute.
yeah.
What was World of Warcraft's April Fool's this year?
I don't know. I haven't logged in today.
Okay. So,
He took a nap.
shall we go back to the topic I was
Yes,
bringing
sorry.
up? Okay. So, I was talking to my son this past weekend, and he mentioned that Virginia has recently passed a law that I did not realize they passed. Virginia now has made it state law that you cannot purchase tobacco or vaping products unless you're 21 or older. You now have to be 21 not only to drink, but to smoke or vape. Now, I have a bit of an
Is
issue
it
with
to
this.
smoke or vape, or is it just to purchase?
I have to clarify that real quick, but I believe it's to purchase.
Okay.
And if you're caught buying, you get penalized, and if somebody is caught selling, they get penalized. So I think it's just purchase. But here's the deal. You're telling me I can give my 5-year-old a gun legally. In the state of Virginia, I can sit down with my kid who is under 18 years old and have a drink perfectly legally. At 18, they can elect our country's ruler, as well as join the military and kill people, or travel to foreign countries and be able to drink on their soil, etc., etc. But here within our own country, in this state in particular, and 5 or 6 other states, Maryland have been pushing for it, Chris, for 4 years now, and has not gone through. but you cannot drink or smoke legally until 3 years later. What do you guys think?
Why now?
I've never understood any situation, and we have it in this country, smoking and drinking, where you have voting, purchasing alcohol, purchasing tobacco, having different dates. Just pick 1 year. Before this, you're a kid. After that, you're an adult. You do what the fuck you want. There surely has to be one point, one defining year, which you say, after this, we consider you mature enough to make your own choices.
Well, you could be tried in a court of law as an adult at 18.
Then surely you should be able to go and buy tobacco if you want, or liquor if you want.
By the way, their logic
Or
is... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Vaping.
What, Andrew?
I said, or vaping. It's the vaping you can't even...
Right. See, their logic is with vaping, and by the way, they said vaping leads to cigarette smoking, and everybody I've spoken to went, no, it doesn't. Because...
The irony is, it was first sold and first marketed as exactly the opposite.
Right.
The latest new way to get yourself out of smoking.
And it does. And Aiden pointed out, no kid who vapes is going to change over to cigarettes because cigarettes taste nasty after you have this sweet, fruity stuff.
And you don't have the cloud coming out of your face like
Yeah.
with vaping.
Yeah. And also cost effectiveness, etc. The cool factor of having this device, this electronic toy. But, oh, I do forget where I was going with that.
Yes, you were saying about, do we think it's right to have different ages for it?
Right, it's, oh, no, their logic is younger kids are getting vaping supplies from older students, so they move it from 18 to 21, it now takes it out of the hands of the older students, thus the younger students won't get it, won't start, won't switch to tobacco and die of cancer.
Right, okay.
Now, this is still all vaping.
Just clarify.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, just to clarify for me. So prior to this, what currently is? I know it's different for a lot of states, but pretty much it's 21 for drinking. And what was smoking before?
18.
It's changed.
It's 18.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, okay, not everybody becomes an alcoholic. Everybody who smokes gets lung damage the moment you have your first cigarette, and for every cigarette onwards. We all know this. Why is smoking always younger? We all know the answer, obviously. It's because they want you to buy cigarettes. Because the government takes tax off the cigarettes. It's a money maker. More for them, probably, than
by the
beer.
way,
It's people go for a drink occasionally who smoke every day.
That went hand in hand. As they went, okay, the legal age is now 21, they also tacked on like an extra $1.60 to $5, depending which state it was, to a single pack of cigarettes.
Here's the thing.
If you went for not the cheapest shit, not the most expensive, if you went for a middle of the range carton of cigarettes in America, what's it costing you per carton, and how many in a carton?
$24. Some are like just 20, and there's one, two.
There's 10
I think it's
packs.
10 or 12.
There's
Yeah, I
10
think
packs, 20 cigarettes per pack. The cost,
Yeah.
I'm going to rely on them. Unless you're in New York City, then you are paying $50 a carton. Elizabeth, is that about right?
No, you can get cheaper cigarettes than that, and we live in Virginia and North Carolina, so you get those really, really local.
So it's-
But that's what I'm saying. In New York City, to buy a carton of Marlboro, name brand,
In New York
Yeah,
City.
here in DC, it's 22-ish right now.
for Marlboro?
It's only $50 for a carton in New York.
I don't
That
know.
would be
That's what
way-
I'm asking you.
I don't buy cartons of cigarettes. I only know packed.
Well, here's the thing. Right before I turned 16, the legal smoking age was 16. And, before that, they had a legal drinking age just 18. And then it just went up. It's so...
Now, I haven't got my phone near enough, and I can't open a browser at the moment because my old laptop or disk will really die me. Does anyone know roughly what's the current conversion rate? Is it roughly 1.5? Near 2?
I don't know. I haven't paid attention a lot.
I don't mean,
What?
I
What,
can't
dollars to pound?
The dollar to the pound. I mean, we keep
Yeah,
dropping on you guys so
it-
fast. I can't keep track of it at the moment.
It's about that.
One US
Actually-
dollar is currently 0.77 pounds.
She's sterling pounds right now.
Wow.
Okay.
That's a hell of
I'm
a
just
change
trying to
from a
work
year
out.
ago.
Yeah. Jesus
Right.
Christ, that's expensive. A pack of 20 cigarettes cost me £8.50.
Okay, well here you can buy a pack of Marlboro in Virginia for, I believe Elizabeth backed me up on this, about $5 a pack. In New York, it's about $12.50 a pack. New York City, not state.
Well,
14.
here's the thing.
14. Okay.
We're closer to where they make their cigarettes, where they produce
Yeah,
those
that's
cigarettes.
true.
too.
It's
Yeah,
just,
there's a
it's just
you
a
guys
different.
especially. I assume Virginia is
It's a
strong
tobacco
tobacco
place.
production area. Yeah. Yeah, that's outrageous though when you think about it. Okay, I know. I mean, even in countries not too far from me, once you step outside the EU, you can pick up tobacco much cheaper. But that's outrageous.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
about
Jesus.
$7.50 a pack in Maryland, and if you go into the district, you're looking at $10.50 or so.
God,
Yeah, so that's 10.50 is putting you close to the kind of price I'm paying here. But
It's all
fine.
tax.
It is.
Yeah.
It's tax.
Yeah,
When
the
I
actual.
was
Go ahead, Andrea.
when I was like 18, 19, I remember when they went up to 99 cents for the big brand. It was like, God, that's so much money.
Well, you still can go to an Indian reservation where they don't charge federal tax at all and get them for $2-3 a pack. It's all that difference between different areas is government tax. Sometimes federal, and state, sometimes federal, state, and local. So that's Chris.
13% tax on a pack of cigarettes in Washington, D.C.
Sales tax, not counting the tax the government automatically add to the price when you buy it or when the store buys it.
No, I mean that is including sales tax.
Right.
The sales tax in D.C. is only like 6 cents or something like that.
6%, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
So what do you think, Elizabeth? 21, a very sensible and logical age for buying cigarettes and vaping?
I think that the government sees people as food or energy or something to feed it, and is going to tax us and change the laws and do whatever they can to make a profit off it. So I'm not surprised at all. It's just
Or
kind
you
of
think
like,
they
all
lower
right,
the age
we're
then?
just the little batteries for the mega machine.
You think they'd lower the age then?
Kevin?
Just out of curiosity, I was interested when Chris expressed like what percentage of the cost was taxed. So I thought I'd look at the UK version. Here with the first bit. Tax on cigarettes is made up of a specific duty of £196.42 per 1,000 cigarette, and an ad valorem rate of 16.5% on the recommended retail price. VAT, value-added tax, is charged in addition. To translate that, a pack of 20 cigarettes with a recommended retail price of £8 is over 80% tax, while on some of the lowest priced cigarettes, tax can count for up to 90.4% of the cost.
Mm.
Welcome to the UK. This is before we leave the EU.
I have a thought on this. If the government really wants to make money, don't tax, don't say that the people that can buy the alcohol and the cigarettes and the stuff are the people that have to pay for their own rent and their car, aren't living with parents. Lower the age, so then they have disposable income.
I had this conversation with some of my friends the other night where the view was posited by one of them and was met with general agreement that actually your country have taken what we think the next logical step for this country will be. And in a sense, again, America are world leaders in what's going to become a worldwide trend. And that is the legalization and taxation of marijuana. It's a massive, massive market for the US now. I haven't got the figures to the fingertip, but we called it up the night when we were chatting shit about it over a few beers at Kirk's. And we Googled a few facts about it, like what the amount of money being generated every year for the US government, not by the marijuana industry, but just in terms of taxation and stuff. It's huge. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think in the first 6 months of Colorado legalizing marijuana, just from the tax they collected, they had gotten rid of the state debt.
Well, Colorado's always been
See,
very
and
good
Virginia
with their
won't do
state
that.
debt. Colorado is one of the leading states in the union who takes care of their budget better than anybody else.
Well, yes, but like now they have such a surplus that they can because of taxing
Right.
marijuana, and it's not even all that much.
Well, for decades, many people, myself included, have been saying exactly that. Legalize the shit, tax it. Say the same thing about prostitution. Regulate it, tax it, make your money. They were making money on the drug war, by the way. Yeah, Kev.
It's not just a direct result of taxation. There's a benefit to a government from marijuana either. You also have to factor in the EU take pressure off the prison system by not imprisoning people for marijuana possession and distribution. It
Jobs.
saves you labour, it increases jobs. There are other knock-on hidden financial benefits as well as the direct money collected from
One of
taxation.
the
Chris.
wonderful benefits that I've been watching, one second, Chris, I'll turn it right over to you, is
Yep.
as it is becoming more legal in more places, the scientific research that is now legal to do for medical purposes and actual, good altruistic reasons, I've been thrilled with that. Chris?
The problem with the relief on the prison system is that 80% of U.S. prisons are for profit.
Yeah.
So by legalizing it, you get the prison systems then start losing money, and that's something they don't want to do. Now, granted, that probably means that something else is going to take its place, but that is one of the major reasons.
Ooh, I'd go for real crime.
Well,
That's what I
here-
vote for.
Well, here's the thing.
Yes, but
now,
that's one of the things that the big reasons that people are not wanting to,
Yeah.
aside from
Well-
oh, it's morally wrong for our kids to be smoking the reefer,
Hold on,
now
Andrea.
you just throw all the underage vapors in jail. It's all right.
Andrea, is that what you were going to say, or did you have more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Throw the underage vapors in jail, not the pot
Kevin?
dealers.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's one of the differences between the US and the UK. We don't have, we've got one or two. It's a beginning trend. Our prisons are run by the Home Office. It's entirely government run.
Ours
There
used
is
to
no
be
private run
until, I
for
guess,
profit
20, 30
prisons.
years ago.
Yeah. So for us, that particular benefit would be much more pronounced, and it's one of the reasons why I genuinely think that it's only a matter of time, and I don't think too much time, before we see American style, if not full legalization, at the very least decriminalization in this country, because our prison system is enormously over encumbered at the
Yeah.
moment, and anything that would decrease
So
the number
hard.
of people going into it. Yeah, I read somewhere the other day that some guy, I don't know if it's at all true, I just remembered it because I thought it was outrageous at the time, that 17% of the world's population live in American prisons.
No.
Now, that could be bullshit. I'm pretty sure it's
It might be
bullshit.
70%
But
of
I mean,
America. Elizabeth?
Yeah, maybe.
Elizabeth?
You're
Hold
on mute.
Okay, great. Too many people are going to jail, prison for a certain crime. It's just wrong. So if we just make it not a crime, then that's okay. So what about those poor guys that can only get aroused from beating children? Oh, I don't know, just having sex with dogs or animals or dead people. Don't those guys deserve a high? Don't those guys deserve to it? I think it's very, very frightening to just blatantly say, well, let's just change the law and then that'll solve the problem. That won't solve the problem.
But
The problem is we don't know the effects of pot. We surely know it is not a positive effect upon children under the age of 25, if not 30. It affects your brain, it affects your IQ levels, and they're suspecting it affects your chromosomes and the number of pairs you have. So I think we need to slow way down. Sometimes simple answers aren't always the best. We
it
should
wasn't
study the
blatantly, and it was
effects.
only made illegal 70 years ago or whatever as a political move.
in the 30s, I think it
Yeah.
was.
Oh, yeah. I'm
I
still living 20
noticed.
years ago. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I was thinking 30s, but to me that's 70 years ago because.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Elizabeth's got a very good point. I think you can sit and argue all day whether it's the positive or negative effects of legalization, but one of the definite inherent dangers in it is that by normalizing something like that, you make it that much more acceptable. And if it's that much more acceptable, those people who aren't possessed enough of their faculties to correctly assess the risk to themselves are placed in danger.
Somebody could say
At
it's a
least
way for...
present the risks.
Yeah,
At least have it
exactly.
knowledgeable. Like, if you smoke this could happen.
See, that's why the
Not just,
medical
"Oh, it's good,
research
it's fine,"
is so exciting to me, because we will learn now the effects. If you just ban it across the board, you can't even legally study the effects. So,
Agreed.
there needs to be a balance. I agree. Just to go willy-nilly is... But then again, I've also said, let's just legalize
because
all
they
the...
legalize it doesn't mean like people are going to be like, oh, now I'm going to take it. People are going to use it whether it's legal or not. So
Well, it talks to people in Colorado. Colorado, when you start looking at the stats, I'm not going to read them. It's not very entertaining. I did look it up. But that was one of the big questions whenever I meet people from Colorado. And they all, especially Denver, they all test the ruling. And like Kevin mentioned earlier in the program, they wish they could vote again because it wouldn't be legalized, because it's brought the cost of living's gone through the roof. The violence, the drugs, the people living on the street has increased through the roof. It's ruined a lot of things. People are now overdosing. Children are overdosing. It's not being reported
Overdosing on pot?
Overdosing on what?
Pot.
You can't.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Right. Yeah. Again, really, if you'll pardon the pun, a potted version. The active chemicals in cannabis, especially above certain strains, which is pretty much every strain these days, because skunk and other stronger modern strains of marijuana have deliberately been bred over the last few decades since the 60s to get stronger and stronger and stronger. There is scientific proof now that links excessive use or excessive consumption of those chemicals like THC and CBD in young age with a much increased chance for mental health problems like schizophrenia, bipolar in later life as adults. And it seems to be specifically affecting young children under the age of, say, 21 or whatever, while they're still in development, not just physically, but in terms of their brain chemistry and so on. It actually affects your brain's development. So you can overdose on pot. You can't smoke so much you'll kill yourself. The tobacco will do you in long before the cannabis would.
Well, that's
but in terms of
by overdose. You can't kill yourself.
People do. They have. I'm sorry, Andrea, but
it's much easier to do these days. Sorry, Travis.
Let's start with Andrea, then I'd like a moment to speak.
I was going to say, well, if it's legalized, don't they regulate it and you have to register? I don't see 5-year-olds going out there smoking a doobie on the corner and overdosing. I don't know. Isn't it a little more controlled?
I'd like to read a comment here, and then let's answer Andrea's question, which, by the way, Andrea, I believe you're correct on that, but I haven't been in the state.
It's not legal in the States, so
Right.
I don't know how the whole thing...
Gary says, I believe marijuana is overall detrimental in its current perception. My brain took a shit while smoking it, saved my artistic endeavors, and my motivation was non-existent. It does not affect everyone this way, but it is not safe, in my opinion. Now, what I will say
it affects everybody
is,
differently, no matter what it is.
when we're talking about an overdose, we're not talking about, I took so much tonight, I'm dead tomorrow. We're talking about long-term effects of massive use. In other words, not doing things in, moderation. That's the word I wanted.
Well, didn't they say before that vaccinations caused schizophrenia and all these other things also?
All kinds of things.
Yeah, they said that, but they had no evidence to back it up.
Right.
The effect of THC on brain chemistry in teenagers is now at the point where it's actually considered by the scientific community to be what they call peer-reviewed. There's been enough tests and enough people have looked into those tests and agreed with the findings that they're now reaching. And this is only now. Bearing in mind that this kind of shit's been researched since the 60s, since the 50s and 60s, when pot exploded in popularity. It's taken this long for there to be enough body of research for them to start saying conclusively, yes, we all agree this fucks up kids' brains if they take too much of it when they're young.
And that is why I'm excited by the legalization, because if we can get it to a point where we can start testing it, and by testing I mean, here we've released it to general population, but let's look at the effects of alcohol. If we're going to complain about these effects of marijuana in whatever
Same thing
form,
can be said of
we need to get fucking alcohol off the streets, because it is a dangerous, dangerous thing. Kevin?
Just because you have to be 21 to buy it doesn't mean that only 21-year-olds are drinking it.
Or your body can handle it at any age. Kevin, what were you going to say?
No, I'll come back to it in a minute. Half formulated thought.
Oh, okay. Oh, by the way, Gary says the THC content is insane now. Literally, it's See, I'm more interested in
You
the.
also have to bear in mind as well that you don't have to smoke a joint anymore to get high.
You can eat
go
it.
buy a cookie, or you can vape oil, or you can. There's a multitude of ways. We just made it so much easier for people to do it. There's a lot of people out there who, in the 60s and 70s, probably would have tried pot, but I don't smoke.
Well, today we were driving and I saw a vape shop and it says CBD oil available. It's not legal or regulated here, but there's tons of places popping up.
I am guessing
don't-
there's a loophole in Virginia law that THC is illegal and CBD is not addressed. Kevin?
There is CBD oil, and there's CBD oil. It's worth reading into. You can get something that's got fuck all in it. You can claim it's CBD oil, and it's like dishwater. And then there's the other end of the spectrum where you would treat it like other ones, and you get fucked. So there's a wide variety in the CBD oil market. Apparently.
Well, yeah,
I've never tried it. I couldn't tell you what it's like or whether it's effective in any concentration because I've never tried it.
Well, and the stuff here, because it's not regulated, you don't know where it's been processed, what's in it, and all of that, and that's what's scary.
Vaping's got like that in the UK. I see all of my mates now saving money by buying these sketchy-ass Chinese vaping liquids. I'm like, you can't even read the label, mate. You've got no idea what's in that, and you're inhaling that into your lungs on a daily basis. I can show you smoking posters from the 1920s advocating the smoking of cigarettes for a calmer pregnancy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
And by the way, it worked.
Yeah.
But now we know better. So I can't understand these people like vaping so much better for you. What the fuck do you know? It's been around like 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm. This is why when there was a big argument with vaping of it affects the lungs, it doesn't affect the lungs, it's bad for you, it's not as bad as cigarettes, it's worse than cigarettes, it doesn't hurt you at all. I went, okay, first of all, we don't have enough time to study it. Second of all, you take any foreign thing into your lungs, it's going to affect you. I don't care if it's just water vapor. It's fine. It's water vapor. Okay, now other people are like, well, I don't want to be around it because I'm breathing that in, and I don't care if it doesn't have tobacco,
like water in my
nicotine,
lungs.
etc. I'm like, okay, you go live in Florida, you're fucking breathing water vapor in on a daily basis because of the humidity level.
Yeah.
My point is, do some research,
stuff smells
calm
good.
down, and let's research this shit before we start lighting the torches and getting our pitchforks. Or going, no, there's no problem at all here. Let's start with Elizabeth.
I like to respond to the vaping argument in the aspect of it's just water I'm breathing into my lungs. Growing up in the military during the Cold War, I watched a lot of AFN, and they would have public service announcements on survival. And one of them was a teaspoon of water can kill you. It was talking about getting water in your lungs and how even babies, when you get in baths or in the pool, you should really make sure they're not breathing in water. And so when people tell me when they vape, oh, it's just water, I'm like, yeah, I can fucking tell you.
Right. Well, it's look
just-
at
They call it
pneumonia.
a dry land drowning. You get enough water in your lungs.
Yeah,
You're
pneumonia
bronchial
is
tube.
water in the lungs quite often, and it can be deadly. So just
It's just water. It tastes like bubble gum. It's fine. It's fine.
Kevin.
I was just going to say, the irony that strikes me all the time about vaping is, it was, like I said earlier, it was marketed originally when it first came out as a new
Chris, Mike.
things to replace smoking or the latest thing to help you quit smoking. Now, we got a smoking ban in the UK,
Okay.
which means if I'm in a pub and I want a fag, I have to go outside. And you see a massive difference, and a lot of pubs have done the same thing with vaping for the same argument. You know, if you don't want to breathe in cigarette smoke in a pub, I'm pretty sure actually our laws have been changed to include vaping now. But anyway, you see a marked difference between a smoker and a vapor. Now in Britain, smoker will step outside the pub. There's 2 or 3 people by the door having a conversation. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to have a cigarette. Excuse me, I'll go over here out of your way. Vapor steps out the front door of the pub. Behold my cloud of righteous pineapple.
Righteous pineapple.
It's just smoke. It's just condensation out of my lungs. What's the problem?
The reason we brought in the smoking ban wasn't just the healthy thing. That was a big part of it, but part of it also was the social niceties of it, that people should be able to go for a drink without having to smell cigarette smoke. Doesn't mean they also want to smell refreshers or bubblegum or licorice or pineapple or anything else being forced in their fucking face either. Like, to be honest, I don't know, maybe it's because I've been a die-hard smoker for the best part of nearly 2 decades now, but I would far rather someone breathe bag smoke in my face than I get some cloud of sickly pineapple that smells like a gone-off car air freshener that makes me want to vomit on my shoes.
I'd rather not be blown on my face unless I have to.
Yeah, I did always enjoy.
$20 is $20.
No, please blow on my face.
I did always enjoy the irony when I went into a bar.
Sorry,
Go ahead, Kevin.
Elizabeth, could you just say that again in a few seconds once I got my voice recorder on?
What, Travis?
Travis.
I don't know. I forgot. Sorry.
I want to set that as my alarm in the morning.
Travis, blow on my face.
Please blow in my face.
I love having this conversation while smoking the pipe.
Yeah.
I've stopped being over easy and switched to being a punk.
There you go. What were you going to say, Elizabeth? Just say it, damn it.
I think I don't have a problem with 16-year-olds smoking cigarettes. You're gonna be a dipshit. Let's weed you out early on.
Okay, you know what? I can back that.
With?
What, Andrea?
You can smoke. I don't give a fuck. Do whatever. Don't throw that shit on the ground.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
I hate that.
Throw it away. Yeah.
Yeah, unless you smoke filterless, then I'm okay with it.
And then give it to a homeless.
Actually, it's still paper thrown on the ground, whereas like a cigar or pipe, when I empty my pipe, it's all leaves. When I throw a cigar on the ground, the wrapper is leaves. It all mulches. Whereas a cigarette...
Just throw it in the garden, it's okay.
To be honest, when you look at the paper most cigarette papers made of these days, they biodegrade pretty far.
Yeah, nowadays, that's very true.
Yeah, just not the filters, that's my problem with cigarette, but filters everywhere.
I smoke roll-ups, but I don't use filters. Partly because I can never be bothered with trying to find them. You put them in your pocket, they end up everywhere. You constantly find fucking filters in your coat lining.
Yes,
but also because I work in kitchens and retail, I can't be fucking bothered with the time to roll one. Elizabeth.
Yes.
Elizabeth, 3 of us have called on you.
Sorry, you froze. I was waiting my turn. Go ahead. Okay.
No, you.
I agree, but with smoking, just if you have a filterless and it has just the paper, then plant it. Put it in the soil. The fact that smokers will take something and just toss it, it's the same I feel as someone that would toss litter or toss something out of their car just without.
It is litter.
It doesn't matter if the banana peel is organic. Then bury it and treat it like respect us.
I can't reach mine now because it's in my jacket, but you can get little magnetic link tins. I've got one in my pocket, little portable ashtrays. Since the public smoking ban, there's a marked decline in the UK. You used to see every litter bin used to have an ashtray mounted to the top.
Yes.
Smoking in your bag, you had somewhere to put it out. You don't see those anymore.
No.
we
you would drink a soda, so you had a can. You could put it off.
Yeah. But I've been known to chuck a roll-up butt on the ground occasionally. but I'm mindful of where I am when I do it. Not that that really makes an excuse, but like you're saying, at the end of the day, I don't use filters. I'm aware they're much more biodegradable than an actual cigarette or a roll up with a filter in it. So will I chuck it on the floor if I've got another option? Yes, I will, but I won't do it, for example, outside someone's house. You know, if I'm walking down their front path, I'm not going to stick around their front. I won't do it in a crowded street. You know, if I'm stood on my own front path, will I chuck one on the floor? It's my house.
I won't
I've
do it in someone's living room.
I've seen someone in a parking lot pull out their ashtray or whatever they have to dump it in the parking space and then drive off.
Yeah.
What the hell is that about? Yeah? Do you
And then
never
they're
drive
blowing
past
everywhere.
the bin?
They
You
can't
drive
be
past the
bothered.
bin on the driver's side of the road and empty the ashtray without leaving your car. Why chuck it on the floor?
Well,
I
you
don't know.
can't.
That's
do-
not being a smoker. That's being a.
Yeah. Well, we've also seen people open their car door, drop their McDonald's bag full of trash in the parking lot and drive off. Not nearly as often as the
I see
ashtray,
people-
but it happens.
The pub where I work is about a 10-minute drive out of town. It's quite, as you guys have seen, and no one else has. I know you guys have seen video, and when I've phoned occasionally from there. It's a really remote location. It's pitch black. It's out in the middle of nowhere. We come in all the time. There's a McDonald's drive-through in Newport, the nearest town. And our pub is in an isolated spot, has a nice big car park, and what you'll get is kids go to the drive-through, buy McDonald's. They come up to our place after midnight, after the pub is closed and there's no one there, and they go and sit outside on our fucking garden tables in our nice comfy garden furniture, have a couple of joints or whatever, eat a McDonald's, have a few beers, and then they just leave all their shit all over our fucking tables. Every morning when I go into work, I
And if they
guarantee you
cleaned
there's
up their
something I'll have to
shit-
pick up in the bins.
If they cleaned up their shit, I'd be like,
Of course.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Leave them alone.
Yeah.
Well,
Andrew,
give a fuck, the pub's closed. You want to come and sit? It's after the mirror and it's freezing cold. If you've got nothing better to do than sit there, be my guest. Put a chair up.
That's
And
right.
Stop leaving your shite where I've got to clear it up. In the morning.
Absolutely. Andrew,
I'm a
what were you
miserable old man with a bad back. I've got better things to do than pick up McDonald's.
Oh,
bags.
you give it 10 years. Wait till you're our age, Kevin. Anyhow.
Well, you know what?
What?
Okay. Smoking, be responsible. Also, if you have children,
Yeah.
people will put the dirty diapers, just throw them out of the car onto the ground or into the parking lot.
I thought you were talking about smoking in children.
I don't
See,
smoke children.
For many, many years, I won't smoke anywhere in the house apart from the kitchen at all when the children are in the house. And I've made it plain to them, it's because I don't agree with it. I think it's stupid. I'm addicted to it. I'd love to be able to give it up, and I'm constantly trying all the time and failing miserably because I'm a weak and terrible human being. But I won't smoke anywhere where the kids can even smell it. So I go in the kitchen and I shut the door and I shut myself away from everyone if I want to go and have a cigarette. I won't smoke in front of them. I won't encourage it. I won't force it on them. It's my stupid decision, not theirs.
Well, to avoid
Well, there you
stupid,
go.
they have to see stupid, so they have a stupid comparison. Okay, we got about.
I just told the kids years ago, I was like, if I tell you, don't do it, I did it and it was a stupid thing, and you go and do it, that makes you twice as fucking stupid. It seems to have sunk in because they haven't done any of it yet.
That's right. You know, and if I look at it completely emotionless, only logical, a society with no smoking at all, no alcohol at all, we would be better as a species. These are poisons we're putting in our body. That is.
Well,
Yes, Andrew?
that's why, everybody has like schizophrenia and bipolar and they're on the spectrum
Well,
because of this.
if it's a spectrum, everybody's on it. So
That's
why bother
Wait,
talking about
everybody-
spectrums anymore?
I'm just saying, no matter what you do, something's gonna happen. So just
There is. There's also that thing when we
Whatever.
look at, diseases and effects. There are people that do it all their lives with no effect, and there are people
Yeah.
that never do it that have the same effect. Yes, Kevin.
I think the biggest key word in all of this has been mentioned several times tonight, and is moderation.
Makes a huge
We
difference.
all know the catechisms, the cliches, a little bit of what you fancy does you no harm, that kind of thing. But the key is a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
If you're the kind of person who is intelligent enough to understand what you're doing to your own body, evaluate the risks, and you decide to take that risk anyway, that's your choice. What annoys me is people who've got no fucking clue what they're doing to themselves.
Right.
If you choose to make that decision, you should make an informed decision.
And Andrea, I will pass this to you in a second, but that also includes not just alcohol, tobacco, nicotine, caffeine, video games, Netflix, all this falls into the same area. Moderation. Andrea?
See, I try to stay in moderation. This is why I don't have money, because excess. So I try to moderate it to stay at a level.
That's right. Only bring in a moderate amount of money.
Yeah.
We're doing something wrong. Let's try that sickness for a while, please.
Yeah, I think I need to indulge in that now.
Chris, do you have any thoughts on any of this?
Yes.
You've been quiet for a bit, so I'm just calling on you to give you a chance to chime in with anything you want to say.
No, not on this topic.
Are you worried about incriminating yourself?
No.
With the moderation, he's not moderate.
No. I got nothing.
Don't speak. No. Don't speak. No.
So,
I mean, we
Andrea,
could change topic, and I can go. Did anyone see that Elon Musk put out a rap about Harambe today?
no, but I will be
No.
looking that up after the show. Andrea, you had an article you wanted to talk about. Speaking of hashtag why now?
Well, I was just bitching because, April Fool's here, not like last week for Kevin. They're like, well, it's April Fool's, don't pull the pregnancy prank because, how people be like, oh, I'm pregnant. No, April Fool's, they're like, don't do that because there's lots of people out there that can't have kids and they get emotionally distraught. I'm like, why now? Everybody just shut the fuck up. I was just having a morning. I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Who cares?
Hashtag
Because
shut the
now
fuck
we're
up.
all oversensitive about these things. Oh, we can't offend the people who can't have children, or
Oh,
who
he's-
have had children and have had them, fail. Like, yeah.
Kevin?
Yes, Kevin.
I think it's different dates in your country and ours, but we've just had Mother's Day this Sunday just gone.
We did.
And I've spent several hours over the last few days restraining myself from absolutely going to town on these bellends, putting up posts on social media going, don't be posting Happy Mother's Day all the time. It's insensitive to people who've lost their mothers.
Andrea mentioned earlier today, we spoke about
Oh,
the
yeah,
UK Mother's Day. Go ahead, Andrea.
It's like, okay, on Mother's Day, they're like, Happy Mother's Day. But on Father's Day, they're like, to all the mothers being the fathers, you know what? Shut the fuck up. Let the fathers and their fathers have their goddamn day. Just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I know.
Father's Day is inclusive for single fathers also. Just like on Mother's Day, it's inclusive for single mothers also. It doesn't matter whether or not you have a spouse. This is your day. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
The other one is for the
Also-
other gender. And if you are gender neutral, then just pick one. You don't get both. One, motherfucker. One.
That's excess. Yes, Kevin.
Kevin.
Someone asked me the other day, did I have I bought my wife a Mother's Day card? Oh, no, she's not my fucking mother. Yeah, but she's the mum of your kids. I buy my wife a Mother's Day card to say thanks for being mum to my kids. I'm like, but it's Mother's Day, she's not my mother. And we had this brief moment of like logical impasse where we both looked at each other and went, you fucking weirdo. I'm curious, so am I in the wrong?
Did you point out that they're not your kids? I mean, they are by
You know
by
what?
love
You could
and
point
affection,
out.
but not
It's a good
biologically.
point. I should really have followed through with that, but we're scared to follow through in public.
Andrea?
You, instead of Mother's Day card, like a motherfucker card, because she's the mother you're fucking.
There
This
you
is
go.
true.
That'd be great,
Thanks for
Kevin.
being
Next
a
time,
milf.
just like, no, I didn't get her a Mother's Day card. I got her a motherfucker card. Because I am fucking the hell out of that mother. I don't like to say fucking the shit out of people because that's just
That's
ew.
just dirty.
That's like
Yeah.
soft serve with sex, but it stinks. Anyhow,
That's
I
just-
push in, it pushes out. Ew.
I have conducted coitus with her in the most vigorous fashion.
You're so British.
Yeah.
One other thing that Andrea saw.
That was splendid, darling. Would you pass the Times crossword?
Notice it's an American crossword. But anyhow, moving on.
Hey? What?
Oh,
New York Times.
Oh, no, but yeah, because we read the New York Times in the UK all the time. It's got a massive circulation.
Ow, ow, take the bait.
Anyhow,
What else is my
You can never tell. You say I'm taking the bait. I say it's just another classic example of American overexpansionism.
well, we learned it from
Yeah.
somewhere.
I'm
Yeah.
American as fuck.
As the sole representative of the British Empire tonight, I'd like to say we know nothing of this overexpansionism that you said.
You spoke of it. I never used the word.
We merely aim to know the goodness of our hearts to improve the quality of life in 163 countries that didn't belong to us.
Okay, I want to take this
Bitter,
topic.
Table one, bitter. Table for one.
One
Delivered.
country. I want to take this in another direction. Andrea is reading another article today. Now this has a political leaning. I am not aiming for the political leaning. Just to be
Andrea.
clear. So
Okay, I remember.
So apparently there is a Democrat female leader who was kissed on the back of the head by Joe Biden, who was the vice president underneath Obama, and she is using this as an example of intruding personal space, which it is, by the way. If you are not invited to, or if you didn't ask and you just did it, whether it's grandfatherly and innocent or creepy and he was like behind her breathing on her, I don't know. It's not defined. But it's one of those things of that inspired tonight's show of hashtag why now. And we also have these things where 30 years after events, Hollywood...
Because it was like 10 years ago.
Right, but Hollywood superstars have been dragged down from shit from the 80s. And it's hashtag why now. And Kevin.
I was going to say,
right in.
yeah, well, I was going to make reference to it earlier and didn't because I didn't want to interrupt the flow, but you mentioned this earlier in relation to some bollocks with the director earlier on in the show. Something that's been called up.
Yeah,
called up.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
One of my favourite memes ever I've seen on Facebook is that one that says, "Thank fuck that I grew up and did all my sketchy shit when I was too young for the internet to have been invented."
Right.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
we-
Yeah.
None of us today is the same person we were a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. We all grow and develop. And I'm so sick of people being pulled up now, today, for shit they said 20 years ago. It's not the same person, it's not the same content, it's not the same
Kevin, when you're done,
consequence.
release to Chris, okay? Keep going.
Chris, I was just going to say.
Yeah, keep going.
I'm done.
Kevin.
Release.
Well, and I
Release.
think this whole why now with Biden is because he's contemplating putting in for the presidential race. Like, he's being seriously he has been seriously considering it, and his opposites don't want him to have that squeaky clean
Which
reputation.
opposites?
Yes, Travis.
You know
Which
what?
opposites?
If the worst thing you've done is kiss somebody on the back of the head and did an Eskimo kiss with them somewhere else, in public, on camera, they are scraping for shit to get on you. If that is like the top of the scandal list, let's go with Elizabeth. She hasn't spoken as much.
Question, Chris. Which opposites are you speaking of?
The Republican Party.
Okay.
In
I heard, now I don't know if it's true, but my mother had Fox News on, and one of the hosts was saying it's the Democrats because they want a more hardcore, progressive or whatever term they're using, agenda right now, and that they don't want Biden involved, that they don't think he's going to be hip enough and fast enough, and they're going to push someone younger. And so I think it's politics. I think anything's up for game.
No, you're absolutely
Yeah,
right.
it's all politics.
And that is the
He's
answer
creepy.
of why
He's
now
creepy.
it's politics. And Kevin, you had your hand up. I want to give you a chance to say whatever you had on your mind there.
I can't remember now.
Okay. But that's it. Chris, did you just raise your hand?
yeah.
Give me 1 second. Let me finish this thought, and then I'll pass it to you. But yeah, it's always politics. Whether we look at James Gunn with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and their politics was the dollar. They were worried about their bottom line and will it affect them. The same thing with all these other Hollywood stars that came out. It was the politics behind it, which are motivated by different things. Chris?
Well, back on I think that we're in such an era that, like, we don't actually really know where the influences are coming from, because one side is saying, oh, it's really the other side, and then the other side is like, no, it's clearly them, going back and forth. Like, who is really pulling these strings? We don't really know.
Kev?
But
It's all
also,
the same.
Kevin, I'll
It's
come
all
back
the
to you.
same.
Right.
I think he's
There
the one
is
pulling the
a candidate for the Democrat Party out of Illinois, who is 37. He's gay. He's a war veteran, and technically in that millennial age group, and is now running for president. And they think he has a serious chance with all of these demographics, because he is all of these, great many things. And he's dealing with everything that the large portion of the population is like, hey, these are the things that are important to me, that are going to be important for our future, because I'm in this age demographic. Now, the problem is getting that age demographic to actually get out and vote.
Yeah.
Agreed.
There's that.
Yes, Kevin?
Okay, two things. My original thing that I was going to say was when you said you've got one side accusing the other and then one side saying it's the other one, and no one really knows where the truth of it lies. You've just described British politics since about 1600.
All politics.
And yeah,
All of the politics everywhere, yeah.
Yeah, for all of history.
And
Politics
that's
is
the
not
problem.
about raising
I'm sorry.
yourself up. It's about stepping on the other guy. And Elizabeth, go ahead.
Go on, Elizabeth.
The problem, I mean, oh, geez, here we go, politics. But
Yeah.
how are you going to get someone who is qualified to lead or to run things, to get people, to inspire them to do things, and get through this dirty, filthy, sludge world of politics? It's not going to happen, because at the very least they're going to get destroyed and investigated, or
Yeah.
have this horrible life. But then the people that can survive, do you necessarily want them, because they can get through this slime and filth and survive in this world?
And not because
And
they're
that is
pure.
kind of the eternal quest, is how do we get someone who is qualified and that we want? And that's politics.
Let
Be
me...
wary of those who tell you what you want to hear.
Now, we have a few minutes left, and we can go on with this, but what I want to do here, for all our masses of viewers here, as well as ourselves, I want to, the whole hashtag #MeToo movement, I want to encourage the hashtag #WhyNow movement. When you see,
What now?
whether it's valid or not, an accusation or a political shift or event come up all of a sudden out of the blue, I want everybody to question, why now? What are they distracting you from? What are they covering up? What are they doing behind the scenes they don't want you to know about? Why now? So, and that's all I'm doing, is this is a show encouraging people to think and question. Now, you stick by your ideals, you stick by your political side, whatever, but question it before you stick solidly beside it. Always have that, question your leadership. And if you ask that question and you get an answer that satisfies you, all it does is reinforce your belief system anyway. There is no harm in questioning your belief system. It only strengthens it when you come out learning more that reinforces it. But sometimes when you question the other side, you learn something you didn't know that can shift your perception for better or worse. And sometimes when you question your own side, you can learn something that'll shift your position, better or worse. Question that authority, guys. And then when you support it, you fucking know why you support it, because you questioned it. That's it. Back to the ramble.
I mean, that's kind of a great place to end, really. Like,
Well, we got 5 minutes.
We need
Let's
a
do a
closing
closing
toast.
toast. Here's to the question, the eternal question. that nobody seems to remember to ask. Here's the why now.
Here.
I'll drink to that.
All right, I promise. I hereforth pledge to put hashtag why now as well as hashtag yawn. Hashtag why now.
I solemnly
Hashtag
pledge
why.
to enjoy another beer.
Ah,
Why now? You're going to bed.
No, yeah, I'm not.
There you go.
And why now? Because I bought the fuckers on there.
Yeah, but for anybody, because we don't have a lot of viewers tonight, but anybody rewatching this on YouTube, hashtag why now. Now, of course, this will do, if it catches, it will do exactly whatever other great movement has done. It will be corrupted to people who are flinging shit at other people.
Because we only mean it in the best possible way to bring awareness, so somebody's going to fuck it up.
Yeah, it will absolutely come to finger pointing instead of bringing awareness, which that's the natural human way, and I expect to, like I said, if it catches on, to see that happen. And then we will all sit here in 2-3 years when it does catch on and laugh and drink a little more. And then check our
Like,
latest
we did
CBD
that.
research thing.
At the end of the day, the most important thing to remember is that all politics is like watching a magic show. The most important question to keep in the back of your mind is, what am I actually being distracted away from?
Right.
True.
Which is the root.
Why now?
Yeah, exactly.
Why this much focus on this seemingly inconsequential thing right now?
Yeah.
What else is happening right now? And my
why
attention
now?
is away from
How much?
Yep. Okay.
Oh.
Next week, we're going to lean towards doing home brewing again. The reason we didn't do it this week is because we wanted to have as many people as possible. Kevin, I know you've got some busy stuff on your plate over the next couple weeks. You're always welcome to drop in anyway.
We'll play it by ear on a week-by-week basis.
Works for me, man. Other than that, let us know when it's a regular thing again, and we should expect you all the time.
2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. And besides that, if you don't get to make Monday nights, keep in mind we're around to hang out other times, not necessarily streaming. So, because we know Monday nights is a good release for you.
Next week, yeah, it is. Next week, actually, not this week, because this is crazy busy, and we'll talk more about it off air at a later date. But
In
there's
3
a
minutes.
chance I might come. There's a chance I might come and hang out with you guys next week, if that's all right. Because
Yeah,
I've got a couple of days off midweek.
Nice.
Just having a look at my.
Hey, I got a guest robe. You could have your own shower.
Just watch out for the landlord.
You come and hang out with the Canada geese and ducks. You'll love it.
Forgive me for being immediately suspicious, but long, painful excursions have taught me this. How high is the shower? Because there's
Well,
nothing.
Steve's
There's,
really
there's,
tall
there-
too.
there's
I'm
nothing
6
worse than having to
I'm
assume a
over
position.
6. I'm 6 feet. I just over almost 6'1", and it's here.
Okay. This works for me because there's nothing less dignified than having to assume a position that looks like you're trying to squat and curl one out in the bath just to get your head under a shower. So,
Hey, Kevin,
British.
Yeah.
if you
British
come visit
bathrooms.
us, all of our showers have removable shower heads.
Splendid.
So great
Yeah,
for
they-
women
they-
who
and
Mine was
masturbate.
named Steve.
Exactly.
Thursday and Friday of next week.
Now, Thursday night, before the game, we can do it, but at 8 p.m., which of course is 1 a.m. your time, we do the D&D game. Doesn't mean you can't
I'll
hang
be
out
here
and
for that.
chat, or get on Discord with Elizabeth, who is not playing the game, and also hang out and chat simultaneously. You know, so
All right.
there's
I'll be
an
around.
option. Yeah. Fridays are definitely possible, depending what time of
I should
day.
be free on Friday.
Yeah, we might be, playing World of Warcraft while chatting. We might even be streaming, which, by the way, if any of you guys ever like, I need to hang out with somebody without you streaming, you will come before the stream. And then we'll, after you're done coming,
Yeah,
we'll turn on
yeah.
the stream.
Tell me when to come.
Chris has got a toy for you. His great-grandma used it.
It's the talk of the tavern.
That is unbelievable, Chris.
Okay, let's wrap this up with some closing music. Gary, thank you for joining us. Anybody else who is peeking,
Bye,
posing,
Gary.
watching,
Thank you very much, everyone listening tonight and watching it later and sharing this with all of your friends and making us worldwide superstars.
Here we go. Absolutely. Hashtag why not?
Sandra.
Hashtag why now? Because we're the right people at the right time. That's fucking right.
Because we'd like to make a living by being this type of asshole. Please.
Hashtag now.
Have fun.
Can someone, before the next show, just look into the legality of this? Can we form a conglomerate and run for
The
president?
small
Does
moments
that
every
work?
day.
Talk of the tavern for president.
What's that say,
You can
Elizabeth?
still be an asshole, just be entertaining.
Which most politicians are only one of
That's the
them.
American president need, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Well, I tell you what, that's one thing Trump has. He is entertaining.
Yeah.
No matter what side you're on. Okay, guys, we're out of here. Catch you later.